Hopefully I get to start. If not, then I get some minutes there. They'll be like extremely grateful. I mean, I have my family out there, I have friends out there, so just debuting back home and the stadium that I always wanted to play in, it's always going to be a dream come true.
It's Llanez from the spot! Well, all the coolness of an established veteran, but he's anything but. The first goal for the 18-year-old in a US jersey, and he has been the star of the show.
Im April gegen Blau-Weiß-Linz. Aber noch ist ja nicht Schluss.
In Galaxy possession, now he lets it go for Llanez, who may have a clean look at goal. Fires! He scores! And the LA Galaxy take a 1-0 lead. Good build-up by the Galaxy. Good work by Zubac, keeping possession there. And
Hey guys, and welcome to our first podcast. My name is Nathan Franco, and I'm your host for today, accompanied with Dr. Caro, who is a sports psychologist that's been in the industry for 10 plus years. And for our special guest today, we have Uly Llanez, who is currently a professional soccer player overseas in Europe. To begin, we're so happy to have you. We really appreciate you coming out. And we're excited to hear more about your journey and your story and how you've become where you're at today. For our goal for this podcast, it's to create a platform where professional athletes and athletes as a whole get a chance to tell their story on what it's like being an athlete and all the controversy that comes with it. We believe that that we need more than a conventional therapist in our system to help these athletes as a whole with whatever their goals are in the future, being post-career or not. The difference of the roles that athletes play in society on and off the pitch is something that we as a whole really attracted to and wanted to perceive to our audience, that it's not just about being an athlete, it's not just about the daily practices, and it's more to it. We believe that athletes deal with physical and mental challenges, whether that being in their careers following the contracts, the competitions, post-careers, and social life. We believe that there is this stigma that athletes are overpaid, underrated, or overrated, and uneducated, which is something that as a whole, being not just a doctor, not just being an athlete myself and being a professional, as you can tell, we all deal with these same struggles. And that's something that we really want to perceive to our audience, that it's okay to have that problem, and we're here to help you guys with this problem. Our goal here is to unite all the athletes together and have you tell your story and have you have an audience and a platform for yourself, not only because of the future that you want to perceive, but just more of like the people that you can influence and the people you have influenced without having that recognition and that audience. Obviously, we've known each other for a while. It's been years since like we were kids. And it's been a beauty seeing you grow. It's been a beauty seeing you struggle. And it was something that I could never relate to when we were younger, because obviously the different lifestyles, the different comparisons of scenarios that we lived in. But I'm pretty sure you can touch on more on that. When you were 18, I think the day after, like a week after turning 18, you signed your first professional contract. How was that? How did you feel about that?
I mean, it was something that I never thought that was gonna happen. I mean, at the young age, it's different out there in Europe. So in Europe, you're basically a professional no matter what. Once you play U19, U16, U15, wherever age you are in Europe, you're technically a professional soccer player already. So when I signed my first professional contract, it was, I don't know, I feel like my dream came true, and it's just something that I have to like keep working on if I want to make the next step, next level where I really want to be. But I think it was something that was very, I don't know, it was something in my heart that was just like, damn, you're almost there. Just keep going, and then everything that you worked hard for is gonna pay off.
Was it like a relief, or was it more of like a, damn, what's next when you got that contract? What way did you perceive it?
I think it was a little bit of both. It was more like, wow, like this happened, but at the same time, like I'm not where I want to be. You know, it's like I still have to keep working hard, but with time, I think I'll get there.
Awesome. Well, that's why we have, like, our service offers a doctor too, and like when we teamed up together, our goal was to ensure that these athletes have a voice and to ensure that they have the necessary help needed in order to continue to grow, in order to continue to excel, either in which is rather your next contract, or it's either your goals outside of school or outside of the sports industry, and just where you perceive yourself. Because like we said earlier, it's like there's a lot of athletes around the world, and there's obviously you have the top 1% where it's just like Odell Beckham, you have all that, and that's where you want to be, the Cristiano Ronaldo of your generation. And a lot of people see that, but a lot of people don't realize like there's achievements before that goal. Like the goal is Ronaldo, the goal is to be that guy too, but there's achievements, and other people. What we want is other people to realize that you're a step there, like you're getting there, and to you it might be like what's next, because you're already in that grind, you're already in that mentality. But to other people, they don't know that grind, they don't know that what it's like to work outside of practice, what it's like kicking the ball, doing 20 free kicks the same way, what it's like having fitness in the summer, the hardcore summer fitnesses that you used to do as a kid. Like no one sees that. And obviously with the studies that that Dr. Carroll has found in his book, he's established that nice segue for you guys to excel. And that's what we want. We don't want you guys to hold back. We want to see the best version of you guys that we can possibly see. I think you could touch on it a little more.
Sure. Well, you have a really interesting story. Like I think from like an athlete perspective, and also like a human and a psychological perspective. So one thing I'm always interested in when I work with athletes and they come in is like your motivation. So I'd love to hear, like, first of all, about your story and your journey, which is interesting and unique, but then also because you did have you saw the potential to be making money, and how that, the internal and external motivation played out for you, because I imagine you love soccer, but then also the external driver of having money in front of you. And I know a little bit about your story, but I'd love to hear about your story and how your motivation, what your point of, like, what you're motivated by growing up when you were younger, and what you were thinking.
I mean, ever since I was little, it was always, the first time I touched the soccer ball was at my dad's soccer game. I was like 4 years old, 4 years old, and then I saw a soccer ball and I was just playing with it. So that's how I got into the sport. So my motivation was always like my parents, my family. Like I wanna, like, we didn't have much growing up. So at the same time, like, growing up, it made me realize that I want to get them like somewhere else, like somewhere better. So that what motivates me every single day, to try to like get my family pretty much out of here. Just try to make them as happy as, try to make their life easier, and try to make them happy every single day.
Yeah, that's good stuff. And so you grew up in Linwood.
Yes.
For 12 years, Linwood, California, for everybody out there. So even like now, I guess, because now you've made it. So like how does, but what I'm saying is, like, you need to have a lot of internal drive to get where you got. So like how do you view like your own work ethic and practice, and how does that relate to how your your drive to support your family and help your family? Like, how do you, because they're two different things, you know what I'm saying? Because you want to be great, because that's what you do, but then also you want to help your family. And like, how do you, I'm curious, like, what your kind of day-to-day thoughts are about the motivation piece.
I don't know, sometimes I just, it's crazy to me, because sometimes I don't really think about it. Like, it's more like I really don't want to, like, the more I think about it, I feel like the more stress I'm going to put myself, because it's like, I wanted everything to happen like quick, but at the end of the day, you just have to be patient of what you have to do. Just keep working hard, and everything will fall into place. My parents always told me, like, let God do His work, and then let everything just, you focus on what you need to focus on, and we need to focus on, and everything will come into place later on in the future.
So what was the biggest challenge then when you were growing up, athletically, or even just from the human point of view?
Athletic?
Because you obviously have the talent.
Probably the one thing that I had problems with is getting, like, say, just like in the pitch or anything like that. Just pretty much getting pushed off the ball, not being scrawny, like just stuff like that. But there were times where, I mean, before every training, even Nathan even knows about this. Like I would train I would do double trainings almost every week, Monday through Thursday. We'll have training in the afternoon, and I'll have training before
On
the
your
training.
own?
Yeah, on my own.
Yeah.
With like a private trainer.
Plus you had a private trainer too.
So
okay.
I would train doubles almost every single day.
And then me growing up watching that, it was just surreal to see. Like I thought we were like 14 at the time. 13, 14. He was doing double sessions. I was over here just going from school to make it to the StubHub Center at the time and just training for fun. Like I would always tell you, like I always saw like it was more to you than just playing the game. And like you loved the game. You grew love for the game, obviously. That's why you're here. But I guess what we're saying is, when did it get to the point where you stopped, when you realized like, okay, I'm good enough and I'm going to do more than just play for fun? Like, and what changed? Like, what change did you have to make at that point?
I think once I signed my first contract out in Europe, I feel like just because now
When was that? Sorry? How old were you?
I was 18.
18,
yeah. So it was like
Barely.
Yeah, it was like it was So I was like, so I guess like when I went out there, you start realizing, okay, there's other players that are way better than you, so you need to work 10 times harder than them. You know, you need to show like everyone else that this is who you are, this is where I'm from, and this is what I can do for you. So that's what motivated me to like actually like do more than other players. You know, it was always like, okay, you're not gonna, like, we would have gym, and I wouldn't like doing gym with the team. I would like doing it on my own because I don't like being watched when I'm doing stuff. So I would usually work on my own, work on finishing, work on stuff that I feel like that I could show the team that what I can do, what pretty much I could do for the team.
Yes. And then how about, because I know like when we were younger, and like I said earlier, it was just to the point where like you would see like companions like Alex Mendez and all that, like, and you were always like at an early age, you had a name for yourself at an early age, and you had a name for yourself in the US, at least in the States. And going to Europe, like you said, it's a whole different scenario. Like you have people that are professional at like 12, and like it's just a whole different environment. So how is it like transitioning? Because like a lot of this is for like it's for you to like to kind of see like how far you've gone and kind of like realize like, okay, like damn, like looking back, you're writing your own book.
Yeah.
And it's still currently in the making. But how did it feel? And like moving out and like leaving your family at such a young age?
I mean, it was difficult. I mean, you know, when you're 17, 16, you don't really think about it. You're just like, oh, I'm gonna stay home forever. But once I turned 17 and 18, that's when everything really happened. That's when a lot of difficulties happened with the Galaxy and then like Wolfsburg. So it was just like, okay, like what is gonna be best for me in my future and my career long term. So it's like, if I stay here, I have my family and my friends, this and that, but I feel like if I would have stayed here, I would have got distracted. So it's like something that drew me to be out there was, I need to be away from like everything that's here. Like there's like my friends, family, there's parties, there's everything. So it's like there's something that drew me to go out there and just try to just focus on myself and my career.
And how was that like when, obviously growing up, we would have our families always at the games. We had the biggest crowd at times, remember that? But how was it like when you were in Europe playing and you weren't seeing your family on the field, like out like on the stands? Like, how was that?
I mean, it was difficult. I mean, it's like you're so used to like seeing your family there cheering you on every time you score, like they start screaming, but at the same time it's like you can't really do much about it, you know. It's just a sacrifice that you're gonna have that you made, and it's just like, you know what, they're cheering me 5,000 miles away. Like after the game, I wait till they wake up and I tell them about the game. So as long as they know what happened in the game, that's all that matters.
And that probably motivated you a lot too, you know? Like just the fact that they were up probably like 6 a.m. was that your games are literally like in the night.
Well, now that I'm in Austria, like my parents are always up at 2 or 3 in the morning just watching the game. So it's like as long as they get to see me play, that's all that matters.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I think a lot of the stuff that we want to touch on in terms of this is like you being able to have your story, like you being able to have your platform here, because like I said earlier, like you might not realize it, maybe you do, but you've impacted a lot of adolescents, you impacted me the way I perceived like soccer as a whole. because, like I said, like we grew up together, and I was fortunate to have like A, Y, and Z, you know. But you motivated me in the sense of like, I need to help. Like I was like, okay, like this guy's working his ass off in this game. I'm gonna step up too. Like I remember the times we would literally have fist fights in training. It was crazy. The environment was so crazy, and a lot of people don't know that. Like people that aren't athletes,
they don't really know like what actually goes on the field and everything,
exactly,
or in the locker rooms or anything like
they
that.
They don't know the different types of. And I say it in perspective. Like we're different breeds at that point. Like our mentality, our way of thinking in the pitch, it's like it's a crazy mentality that we have. And one of the goals that we want to acquire here is just transitioning that mentality to also like your social life in terms of like what you want in the future. Like where do you see yourself in 10 years? Like what is like your goal at least?
I haven't even thought about that.
Year by year?
Just like pretty much just have a better career, pretty much just like where I want to be, like where I'm settled and I'm just happy with what I'm doing. So that's pretty much it.
And that's why we're here, because obviously we're here to guide you, and at least when you need, let's say if you have a bad training week, instead of like going to someone that doesn't know exactly what they're talking about or doesn't know, like maybe it was just a bad day, you know, like that's why we're here, because we understand what it's like to have a bad training day, a bad week. We understand what it's like to be cussed out by a coach and just not take it to the extreme and let it ruin like the possibilities and your skill sets. And a lot of the time, it happens in college athletics. It happens in professional environment. It also happens in the youth, where a lot of the times it can either be the parents that get overwhelmed, or the parents that get honestly depressed because they don't have the access to give their kids A, Y, and Z. But majority of the time, what we just want to see from people, it's like loving the game again. And within loving the game, you'll find your peace. You'll find the right mentality, the right mindset to go. And that's where we come in, because like we just want to be the right guidance. Like we want to be that team for you, where it's like if you need something, if you need advice, if you need like inside the pitch or outside the pitch, like we're here. Like if you're having a bad week, we're here to support you. We're here to listen to you, and we believe that within the relationship we all establish within sports, we can help find a way to give you a better opportunity to excel and reach your goals. The way that you can help voice your story within our program and voice to help other kids in the future. Because like I said, you're a role model. Like to a lot of kids, the people from your hometown, Linwood, I'm pretty sure like they look up to you. Like first out of many, or one of the first, no? I would say.
Yeah. Well, there's probably other athletes, but
like to the extent that to the caliber that you're at, like it hasn't been much at that point.
Yeah.
And you gotta really, like, you gotta own it. Like congratulations on that. That's awesome, dude. Like we're so proud of you. Like seriously.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. I don't know, like wherever the future like has for you, like we're here to help. We're here to
appreciate it.
Whatever you need, like a phone call. Our services are like all through online, so we can always just chat. You know, and that's the beauty about like the world we live in now, where it's like you're not alone. You're just a call away. And when you go back, you leave tomorrow, like you said. When you go back, just know that you still have a family here. Like you still have people to support you, and wherever you need, we're here.
Yeah, I was. If I could ask a couple questions, so I'm curious. Like you have a really interesting track in terms of like you knew at a younger age that you were gonna at least play at an advanced level as college or pro. So like, what type of how much were you exposed to like mental training? How much were you? Did you ever have a sports psychologist or any of that? Because you had personal trainers, you said. So I'm curious, like, first of all, how much about mental training aspect or sports psychology would you know? But then secondly, what I'm curious about some of your mental routines, habits, goal setting, visualization, things of that nature.
I mean, ever since when I was growing up, it was always I don't know, my mental aspect was always to try to like make my family proud. Just like every single day, just try to make something to like make them proud, whatever I'm doing.
That was like your focus.
Yeah, that was like really my focus. Nothing really mattered to me besides my family and soccer. So that's what really drives me in my like mental state. That's what really helped me a lot. And I feel like I matured. I feel like I matured at a young age, really, really quick. But there's still some stuff that was really like bothering me growing up. It was always something that, I'm not doing enough of this. I'm not doing enough of that. I'm not making my dad proud. I'm not making my mom proud. Like it was always like there was always little like stuff that I felt like I wasn't doing right. But it was always like, okay, if the next day, just try to do something better. Try to make them try to do something that's gonna make them like proud again or something like that.
Yeah, it's good. I wanted to share with the audience a little bit more about your background. Like, did you have any brothers or sisters?
I have one. Yeah, I have two younger siblings. One brother, and one sister.
Yeah, so this is good. So you're the oldest sibling.
Yeah.
And where are your parents from?
My dad's from Compton, and my mom's from. Where is my mom from? I think my mom's from Long Beach.
Yeah. So you had a lot of pressure on you. It wasn't just soccer and supporting your family. You were overcoming a lot of obstacles that existed off the field. So your focus was like, I want to help, but like, did you have? How did like the off-field pressure, I should say, or the family pressure? How did that impact your? Did it distract at all, or was it always like a motivator?
It was always a motivator.
Yeah.
Ever since growing up, when I started growing up, it was always like I didn't really have any distractions. It was just soccer, school, nothing else. Like, I didn't really pay attention to anything else but soccer.
And how was school for you growing up, given how focused you were with sports?
It was difficult because I wasn't really focused on school. It was always, I would get home. So say the day when I was in middle school, it was always morning school, get home, get ready for training, come back. Sometimes I would do homework, sometimes I wouldn't, because it was always like, I'm just focused on just soccer. Like,
yeah.
It was nothing else. Like everything was just about soccer.
And so, were your parents athletes at all?
My dad used to play soccer.
He played soccer, yeah. And so, mentally then, like, what was your biggest challenge? Let's just say, so you weren't playing at the high school. You were playing on
Galaxy.
Yeah, exactly. So what would you say your biggest mental challenge was before you signed a contract at 18? What was the biggest difficulty athletically you faced before then?
So before
you signed a contract, yeah.
So before I did go to Wolfsburg for a couple months. So it was just to see how it is. And it was difficult because I feel like that's where like everything actually like hit. Like when I was 16, 17, I didn't really have anything because I was playing with the second team at Galaxy, so it was like
here in Los Angeles.
I'm home, so it's like I have no stress.
Right.
Training with the first team, like everything is like going the way it is. So when you go out to Europe, you're basically starting from ground up again. So it was like, okay, like let's see how it is. So the first 2 months it was difficult because it was like, okay, I don't know the language, I don't talk to anyone. Like I just don't know anything. Like I'm in a whole new world and I don't even know what's going on. So it was like always, okay, this is gonna be like a difficult challenge for me, but I know it's gonna be worth it at the end.
Yeah, this is a good thing. So Nathan and I have talked a lot about this because Nathan played overseas before he came back to America for college, of course. So one question that we'd like to hear how you respond, but one question we've asked and thought about a lot is like, what kind of support would have been good for you when you went overseas? You were talking about all kinds of not just language, cultural, and then the stress of wanting to perform well. What would you have wished that like the team provided for you, or what would you have done differently?
I feel like I don't know. I feel like because we do have a sports psychiatrist out there.
You had one on the team there, yeah.
I had one on the team, but I never really took advantage of it. Like it was, I don't know. I just felt like they're just gonna tell me the same thing I already know. You know, like it was like, oh, you're just doing this, you're just doing that. Try to do this, try to do that. So it was always like I didn't really like going to it because they're just gonna keep telling me the same thing. Because, like sure. You know, it was just gonna be the same thing. Like, oh, why are you feeling this way? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Like, I don't know. I just felt like personally, it was just like I felt like it wasn't gonna help me.
Yeah.
Like it just, I don't know.
Do you wish you had used it looking
I feel
back?
like yeah.
And so what would you have gotten out of it? Like, what would you have wanted to get from that then?
I don't know, just someone to talk to.
Yeah.
Just pretty much that's it.
Yeah, because we talked about earlier, it was like when we talked on the phone the first time, it was like there was times where like you said that you felt like kind of like alone. Like you just need someone that understood what it was like being in that system. And was it a therapist or a sports psychologist?
I think it was a therapist.
Okay, yeah.
I don't think it was a sports psychiatrist, but it was like they
claimed it was, yeah, and that's kind of like what we talked about. It's like a lot of the times in this industry, people relate to athletes needing a therapist when that's why we have doctors that are specified in sports psychology. Like that's the beauty about it. It's like we understand and we can have a better conversation than just a therapist would have with you because they, like I said, they don't understand the factors of what it takes to be an athlete, the factors of what it has or what happens when you have like a bad training. And that's kind of where we want to indent our goals and our company as a whole. It's just giving you guys that access where we can both win off each other, where it's like the clubs can win off of it too, because at that point you'll be at a better place. Like imagine, I think we talked about it earlier, like you said when we talked on the phone that you scored 2 goals in 2 minutes, and like that was after coming off of like a lot of like controversy of like, you know, like there wasn't much going on, but then you come in and score 2 goals in 2 minutes. Like imagine if you had someone to talk to earlier in that process, like maybe not, but you would have been happier. That's like what we're getting at. You would have been happier. You would have been more content, and maybe those 2 goals turn into 6. Maybe those 6 turn into 8. Maybe it's a streak at that point, you know. And at that point, the club's winning, you're winning, we're all winning because we're having someone that's succeeding within our program, and that's kind of like what we want to embed to like our audience, and not just like you guys, but just everyone as a whole. That's why we have a sports psychologist, because it makes a difference. We really believe that it will make a difference for these athletes, and that's where we stand on that. Any other questions?
Yeah, well, I could talk forever. Yeah. No, it's really cool listening to your story. Uly. I appreciate everything you're throwing down. So you're going back on Monday, and your season will start when?
In like 4 weeks.
And how long will the season go for you over there?
So the first part of the season is gonna take like 4 or 5 months. So we have one half of the season, then we have another half of the season in January. So it's like, so we have two parts.
So like 8 months. It's gonna be the spring of next year.
It's like 10 months of just the whole season.
What pros usually do, yeah.
So yeah, that's I leave Monday. We have 4 weeks of preseason, and then our first game of the season, I think it's like July 17th or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, it's cool. So I'm curious, like, so your focus, like I can just tell, it's awesome listening to your story and like how determined you are, and your mental toughness and tenacity is pretty clear. So, like, how much? And my point is, like, I know like kind of the larger goal for you because you've already said that. But like, I'm curious, like, what, like, you know, for all the athletes out there listening to this, like, do you set like nitty gritty goals for yourself? Like, I want to have this many. I want to play this many minutes. I want to start this many games. Like, how much do you give to that?
This season, I've never done that. I feel like now, like when this season coming up, now I started like saying like little goals I set little goals to myself. So like at the end of the season, I want to have 20 goals to assists. So like stuff like that, you know, like oh, I want to be the best player. I want to have a good season and be named the best player of the season, pretty much. Like I want to like little stuff like that. It's like that's like it may be like extreme, but at the same time, it's like those are my goals. That's what I want to achieve.
Yeah,
and they're reachable, 100%. Like you have the quality. Like
20 goals, 15 assists. That's great. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm aiming for the end of the season.
Yeah, and so one thing that comes up a lot, again, I'm trying to open some things up because you have a great story, you're focused, you're a pro, like just for other listeners. So one thing I talk about when I'm working with athletes in the office, when they're having difficulty concentrating, having anxiety, whether it's related to being on the field or off the field, but one thing we talk all the time about is like routines, and that's everything from like before the game, everything to preseason and training to like in the game, like point to point is what we'd say in sports psych. Like for example, like during timeouts in soccer, or like when you're off the ball in soccer. Like, so what kind of routines do you have? Like, what routines work for you? You can share with the audience out there to hear how you do it so good.
I mean, okay, so say we have a game at 6:30. This is like my routine. So I wake up like around 8, 9, just on my phone, like just to see who's up because of the time difference. So I'm just texting or whatever, and then
talking to family or something like that.
Yeah, whoever's up. So it's like okay, whatever. Then I have friends out there, Kobe. So I text him and I tell him, oh, do you want to play PlayStation? So I play PlayStation before the game. I eat around like 12, something light, not too much.
Yeah.
take a little nap after I eat, 2 hours, get ready, and then I head to the stadium. And then before the game, I just listen to my own music. So everyone's like, they blast music in the locker room, but I don't like listening to it. So I play my own music, and I just do whatever I do before the game. And then when the game starts, that's when I really like just focus on the game.
So what about like even more like say like 30 minutes out? What's like your training, your stretching, you're going over plays with coach, like what like 30 minutes, an hour before the game, like what's the exact routine?
Okay, so we have to be there 2 hours before, so it's always, we have a meeting, so we get there at 2, we have a meeting at, we have a game at 6, we have to be there at 4, so we have a meeting at 4:15, they go over the lineups, see what like how we're gonna play, this is how they play, this is what we want to cover, this is what we don't want to happen, set pieces, and then we go back to the locker room. And after we go back to the locker room, everyone goes to the gym, everyone does whatever they need to do before the game, and then then after that we go back in, we get ready, and then we go out to the pitch.
Yeah, that's good stuff. So what are some of your post-game routines then, Uly?
Post-game routines, usually after a game, like I usually just go get food and then just head back to, because last season I was staying in a hotel, so I would just get my food, go to the hotel, and just play PlayStation, and then have my recovery boots on while I'm playing PlayStation.
Gotcha. And just so everybody knows out there, where were you playing last year?
In Austria. It's a small team called St. Polten.
I get some questions. So, how many Americans were on that team?
None. I was only American.
So were you the only English speaker on that team?
Nah, there is some English speakers there, but most of the people don't really speak English.
Yeah, one thing maybe for another time, we'd love to hear about like the off-field difficulties of being a pro in another country.
Well, I do talk to a lot of my teammates, but I do have 2 teammates that I really talk to a lot. One of them is from Paris, and the other one's from Amsterdam. So
and they all speak English, I imagine, on the team.
The one in Amsterdam, he speaks very good English. The one from Paris, he speaks okay English, but he tries to talk to us about it.
So how much do you think, we're just going to go there, like how much do you think that was obviously you playing in LA for a club team, it's easy, in terms of camaraderie and chemistry, but being a pro, being in another country, would be one thing if you're in America playing for the Galaxy or something. So and you said you had a sports psychologist, what was the biggest difficulty there, like with being in another country and being on a foreign team?
I just feel like missing your family. That's the biggest difficulty, because you're just so used to okay, after training you're coming home, and then it's like you have your family there, Now when you're out there in Europe, it's like you come home and you're just by yourself, you're just like, damn, I wish I had my family here, I wish I had someone here, I wish I had this, I wish I had that. But at the end of the day, it's just like, I don't know, it's just like you get so used to not having anyone there. It's just like, I don't know. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's sometimes a good thing, and sometimes a bad thing.
So yeah, I guess when we covered this a little bit earlier, you would have liked to have had, a sports psychologist at that point, just to talk about
just
being in a new place, a new team. Yeah, no, it's good stuff. So then, dealing with bad games. Like if you could share with the audience again that, how do you deal with a bad game, mentally? In sports psychology, we call it flushing, flushing the game behind. It's I'm curious what. Yeah, you have a bad game or even an injury. It's a kind of another conversation too. But how do you move on to the next game? How do you process that?
So before I would I had a conversation with Nathan about it. Before I would always be oh, if I had a bad game, why you suck? Why are you playing? Why you did this? Why you did that? You stuff just bringing negativity down on myself when it shouldn't be
you're a
that
competitor.
way.
I understand.
But now this season that passed, it was always okay, what could he have done better? Okay, rewatch the game, go back to this play, let's see what you could have done better on this play, and then the next game, in that week of training, do what you could have done better, and then in the game, show what you could have done better than the last game,
So yeah, it's good stuff. So do you because when I work with clients, I actually have all my clients get notebooks and stuff like that for just hey, going over 3 things, any athlete or any person I think wants to be, what can I do differently? What can I improve? And what can I eliminate, for example? Do you track any of that? Or do you just kind of listen to talk to coaches? Or?
Yeah, I mean, the coaches tell me as well, oh, you could have done this better, you could have done that better. Sometimes they even tell me I have a bad game or something like that.
Yeah.
So they tell me, and then if I have a good game, it's they tell me I have a good game. So it's they criticize me, but for like a good way, just to make me better, because they know what I can do for the team, and then it's just like, okay, you're not like, you had a bad game, it's okay, but this is what you could have done better. Sometimes they even do a video with me and like, oh, you could have played it here, you could have played it there, you could have turned here, like stuff like that. Oh, there's space here, you should have been in the pocket, like stuff like that. They help me with like stuff like that could have worked on my game.
Your development. Developing.
So you rely on your coaches a lot for like what I can improve, what I can change, and that conversation's ongoing.
Even my teammates help me a lot too. Like, they tell me too, like, oh, I can't play you the ball because you're not open. But when I rewatch it like on video and stuff like that, I'm like, how are you gonna tell me that I don't have I'm not in like, I'm in the gap. There's no one here. Just give me the ball. Yeah. So it's like there's stuff like that really like that, because I wasn't like that before. Nathan will tell you, I was like always a shy guy, like always like. I wouldn't ask for it. I wouldn't get mad at anyone unless
that's interesting. Yeah.
So it's like now that I'm getting older, it's like, okay, you need to show like your personality, you know, like
more leadership type skills.
Much,
No, it's really interesting actually, because the farther you advance, the leadership skills and the mental aspect becomes more and more important. Well, it's important at all levels, but you're just challenged more mentally.
And the competition itself, like you get to a point where like, yeah, those are your teammates, but you're also fighting to keep your salary. You're also fighting to keep that contract. Like. Obviously, there's positives and negatives with sports. There's some athletes that honestly just think about themselves and don't think about the team. Where it's like, obviously, you think about both.
Pro level,
Yeah, so different. It's like it must be hard sometimes. Like you probably had moments like you said earlier. Like they're saying you're not open, but like you're in the gap, and that one play can make you a goal. That one goal can give you another contract. That one contract can give you a salary. Like it's just all of these things align. Like how does that go through your head? Like sometimes, like, do you even think about it or
not? I don't really think about it. It's just more like, okay, like they didn't give me the ball. Okay, the next play, fuck it. And the next play, give me the ball. If I don't do anything, then they tell me. If I lose the ball, they tell me. Like, what am I gonna do? Like at the end of the day, if I lose the ball, I'm gonna try to win it back in like how Brian used to say, 5 seconds. So like it's always in my head, like, okay, try to get the ball in 5 seconds, 10 seconds. Like try to get the ball until the play is over. So it's always like
the 5 seconds turns to 10.
10 and then it turns to 15.
Then you're just running.
Yeah, at this point I'm just running until I get the ball. But it's just more like, I don't know. It's just I'm just so used to it.
I mean, you grew up with it. That's all you grew up doing technically. Like,
but at the same time, it's always like, okay, like at the end of the day, like I'm just thinking about my career and I'm just thinking about the team, and it's just like I'm trying to find a way to help my career and then like help the team in that moment in the game and stuff like that. So it's like now it's like it is a little difficult, but I try to like not to let it get to me a little bit. So it's just try to like I always try to just talk to myself. I always talk to myself during games, like after games, just like, okay, you could have done this, I could have done that. Like just like pretty much just talk to even the coaches tell me a lot to talk, like ask for the ball. Like just stuff like that. I'm just like
just be there, like
be there. Like, you know, just know that like if they don't give it to you, just know that the next play you're there. Like they know you're there.
It's all about being ready for the moment. Yeah.
So you kind of communicate more.
Yeah.
At the pro level, you start to communicate better.
Because I was always like the shy guy. I'm always like I don't really like if you see me, then you see me. If you don't, then you don't. Like,
right.
But now it's just more like, okay, like you see me, give me the ball.
So you're more. So it's not just verbal. You're like demanding.
Yeah, demanding. Yeah. Because I know what I can do. Like, that's the thing.
Right.
I know what I can do. I know what I can provide for the team. But it's like if you don't. So say if it's just like, okay, you didn't give me the ball after like 5, 6 like times you saw me open. It's like, okay, now we're gonna have a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's good stuff. Because one thing I talk a lot about with athletes is like just knowing yourself. Because my point is, so there's a couple things that I think happened with you, which is really cool. Like you've developed your leadership and ability to like communicate more, but also, like you just said, you know you're good. Mm-hmm. So you're not just asking for the ball because you're selfish. You're asking for the ball because you can score or help the team. So a lot of guys don't know that. A lot of guys demand the ball and they're not even that good. Or vice versa. Like you said, when you were good, but you were shy. Mm-hmm. And so like one thing I always talk about with my athletes and my clients is like, you got to know yourself. Like whether it's a strike zone and you're a pitcher, it's a basketball player. Like, you know, basketball players are playing. Everybody has different skills and strengths, and just knowing what you're good at and what you're bad at. And it sounds like, which is really interesting for you, because like you both internally, in terms of how you're verbalizing things, knowing yourself better and when to speak, but also knowing your ability. Yeah. Well, I guess we're kind of doing like the beginning here at the end, but I wanted to, again, in the interest of sharing your story with whoever's listening out there, I think it's a pretty inspiring story. So we're here Los Angeles. I know where Linwood is. I work in Linwood. But if you could just share with like everybody who's listening, because there's a million little soccer players out there who want to hear your story.
So yeah, when I was growing up, I mean, you've been there. It's like it's not.
Yeah,
really,
Linwood,
it's not,
California, for it's right next to Compton.
It's not really a good like. It's not a good city, you know. It's like when I was growing up, there was always a lot of gang violence. There was always something going on. But at the end of the day, my dad helped me got me away from all that. But he still figured out a way to make me like love the sport. Like he distracted me with the sport and forget everything else that's happening in Linwood and everything. But growing up, I feel like growing up that has helped me a lot, because it was always like, so say if I'm going out, I'm at my friend's house across the street, I was always scared to like walk the street. So it was always like there was always something going on. But at the end of the day, that helped me growing up, because I don't know, it was always I don't know, it just has a lot of like meaning to me, because growing up, it was just always like that's always gonna be my home. But at the same time, I'm glad that I'm
that's
away
fascinating.
from it, you know. It's just more like
it's a motivational factor.
It's like
at the same time, it's like you grew up in there and like you don't like it.
It's both.
I feel like just the environment growing up, it was always like, okay, like how am I gonna get my family out of here, pretty much. So it was like, okay, soccer is the only way to get me out of here. But at the end of the day, that's always gonna be my home, you know.
Exactly.
It's like I have nothing against it. It's just more like you just see like the stuff that actually goes on, and when you get older, you're like, okay, now you see like the bigger picture.
And then obviously you're gonna help like the community over the years.
Course,
exactly.
Yeah,
like that's your goal. Like, that's why you say it's your home.
Yeah.
Like your goal is to obviously come back one day, or like still you coming back right now. Like people obviously they know who you are. They know what you have done, and I'm pretty sure that motivates you. So the next time you come back, there's more. You have more achievements to help out the community, help out the kids that are looking up to you.
You're inspiring people, and I think it's also interesting too that you're an older brother and you get two younger sisters. So it's like there's a lot of pressure on you.
I mean, I just want the best for my family. You know, it's just everyone always wants the best for like themselves and their family. So that's something that a lot of people don't like. That's what a lot of people actually sees. You know, like they just want the best for their family and try to make the most out of it.
No, it's a great story, man. You should be proud of yourself. I love it.
Yeah, definitely should be proud of you. I'm proud of you. I saw you grow up. Like the things you have done, I didn't think I could do.
Yeah.
Seriously, man, we're so happy that you were here too.
Thanks so much. I could talk to you all day long, but I appreciate you just sharing what you already did. And wish you the best of luck leaving tomorrow. So hopefully we'll all stay in touch, and hopefully our listeners will get updates from you both in the news and from us. It'd be great.
Hopefully.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, we really appreciate having you.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much, Uly.
And we'll see you in the future.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you guys for watching.